Good morning. Welcome to the Waiwa Honganji. My name is Rod Moriyama, and I will be doing this morning service. Um, I'm recording it because I've had a lot of requests for people who did attend the service, and I wanted to share what we did together this past Sunday. It is Sunday, May 22nd, and I'm going to share my screen and try to do the entire service as we had done it this past Sunday. Our theme and intention of this Sunday service begins with a quote from the Buddha. We already have perfect compassion, perfect wisdom, and perfect joy. We only need to settle our minds so they can arise from deep within us. This morning's order of service starts off with my explanation of what we're going to do this morning. Then we're going to have a brief chant, Vandana and Tisarana. Then do 5 minutes of mindful meditation. And then I'll go into the Dharma talk, where we'll talk about selflessness, the first of 6 paramitas or perfections. We'll follow that up with the golden chain of love, and then the Nembutsu. The activity that Carolyn Uchiyama had prepared for us will not be recorded because it is a group activity that she did, and it was a very well received exercise in developing haiku. So let's proceed. Please join me in doing the Vandana Tisarana, both in Pali and in English. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. We will next do a 5-minute meditation. This is to get our mindset ready for actually the rest of the day. I do meditation every morning, and what I've set up is 5 minutes of quiet time for all of us to participate in. There is a 15-second preparation time when the first gong goes off, and then the meditation will begin. Please sit down quietly with your hands, your left hand, your right hand sitting on top of your left hand, and concentrate on your breathing for the first 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, focus on no thought. If a thought comes into your mind, just wish it away. And listen to your surroundings as you're going through this meditation, because you'll be amazed at the kinds of sounds you will hear. So after 2 minutes of no thought, I will end the meditation with the Nembutsu, chanting the Nembutsu. So here we go. First, we will begin with 15 seconds of preparation. So get yourself comfortable, sit down, one hand inside the other, left hand on the bottom, and concentrate on your breath going in and going out. No thought. Namandabu. 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 Namandavats, Namandavats. Woo, how was that? I'm trying to relax doing this presentation, so I sure hope you'll bear with me. I try to do a mindful meditation as soon as I get up in the morning, along with my morning stretches. So it's a great way to start every day. The last time we talked about Shakyamuni Buddha becoming the fully aware Buddha. And he came up foundationally with 4 noble truths. He spent a good, how many years? I don't know. He became a Buddha at 35. He died at 80. So a good 45 years teaching people about how to live life, basically, how to live life, how to avoid suffering. So he came up with these 4 noble truths: that life is suffering, and the cause of suffering is attachment to greed, anger, and ignorance. And suffering ceases when there is an awakening. And how do we get this awakening? Awakening is realized through the practice of the Eightfold Path. Now, Buddha never thought when he came up with these teachings that this would become a religion or anything like that. He was just trying to help people cease their day-to-day suffering as a way of living their lives. And so he came up with some practices. So how do we define the Eightfold Path? The Eightfold Path is made up of 3 different sections. First, the wisdom path that starts off with right view and right intention. And then the ethical conduct path, which is right speech, right action, right livelihood, and right effort. And then finally, the mental discipline path, which has the last 2 paths: right concentration or practice meditation, and control your thoughts. These instructions were actually given to people who were monks at the time. And so it was pretty difficult for people to follow this kind of very selfless way of living, since most people had to work. So in Jodo Shinshu, we think of the 6 paramitas as a way of trying to make that into a way of living our own lives. These ideas were gleaned from a chapter in Everyday Suchness by Reverend Gyome Kubose. He was, this is one of my favorite books, and I highly recommend people reading it. It has a lot of life lessons in trying to make Buddhism simple for everyday people. The six paramitas, or six perfections, are disciplines that we can practice every day. And selflessness is the first of that concept. When we talk about selflessness, Buddhism talks about no self. And what do we mean by that? So I'm going to read to you each of the definitions of the six paramitas, and especially the first one, generosity. Generosity is the willingness to give to others whatever is needed. Its benefits are, it gives us a sense of self-worth, that we have something to contribute to others, helping us to avoid or get out of problems of lowest self-esteem and depression. It helps overcome attachments, miserliness, stinginess, which are unhappy states of mind that bring recurring problems. It helps others who are in need. Okay, the other six perfections are ethical self-discipline, patience, perseverance, mental stability, and discriminating awareness. Okay, so all of these six paramitas or perfections are things that we should be practicing in our attitudes and our behaviors throughout every moment. In the Western world, the self is very much emphasized. In fact, the Western world is a very individualized, independent way of thinking, very pretty different from the Asian concept of doing things in groups. And so, having lived in both Japan and in the United States, I've seen that difference in terms of how we live our lives, both pros and cons. You know, there are some good ideas on the Western side and some very good ideas on the Eastern side as well. In our culture, the self is very important as a unit of our social structure. We are surrounded with things like self-help, self-education, self-development, and self-service. So what is the true self? When we think about it, the essence of all things is selfless. Most people think the I is the most important thing, but in reality, our bodies are the sum total of all our ancestors. All the foods we eat to survive is provided by other living things. Our shelter, our clothing, all our education are really dependent on everything around us. And so this mindset brings us to what selflessness is, the realization and attitude and gratitude toward everything. Rinban Baboshita, who is a Sacramento Buddhist Church Rinban, says in an interview to high school students, I guarantee 100% that if you live your life selfishly, you will fail in any love relationship. Those are pretty powerful words. And I think that in our society where we have a great deal of ambition, we tell people to study hard, do well, be, quote, successful, whatever that means. Where do we find the balance between selflessness and selfishness? And that is a balance. And I will tell you some of my experiences. I'll give you an example. When I went away to college, I didn't choose to go just to the West Coast because I wanted to be far away from home. I didn't want to have the pressure of family telling me what to do and studying hard, etc., etc. And so what did I go? I went I went to the University of Michigan. My goodness. I was so homesick that first year. I just couldn't believe it. And back then, we didn't just come home every vacation. We had to stay up there. It was cold, it was lonely, and I had a terrible case of homesickness. It was there that I truly appreciated my family and how important they were to me. I learned teamwork in going to boot camp as part of the ROTC boot camp. It was there that I appreciated working as a team and helping as well as being helped. Mostly I was being helped by other members, especially members from the University of Hawaii ROTC team, because they were much better trained than we were at Michigan. And then finally, working at IBM. IBM was a very competitive setting for all of us. And working as a team was not outside of your initial team that you worked on specific accounts. Everybody else was in competition with everybody else. Everyone was trying to get promoted, climbing the corporate ladder, all of that. And that was a lesson in itself as well. So where do we find the balance? One of the most amazing experiences I had was in Japan as the assistant to the group senior vice president and group vice president for all of Asia. And I looked at his life. I had a high respect for him. And he worked ungodly hours. He would get up at 5 in the morning, exercise for an hour, get up at 6 o'clock, get up at 5, and then at 6 o'clock, he would have breakfast with his family, take his children to school, and then start work in the office at about 7 o'clock. I happened to be his slave at that time, where we had to anticipate and do everything with him. But my respect for him had to do with the balance he had in his life. He really spent quality time with his family. But at the same time, his family also sacrificed everything to promote his career. And it was there that I noticed, boy, if you want to sacrifice that much, is that what I want in my own life? Because there is a lot of sacrifice involved in trying to get ahead in a company. So where do you find that balance? And I think this is where the teachings of the Buddha helps. Buddhism challenges you to be a lifetime learner. And life is continuously becoming, right? As you get older, you're learning more and more things. I am a father because of children. I am a husband because of a wife. I am a teacher because of children and other learners. I am the product of other mentors all around me. And I am old because I am compared with young. It's all relative existence, and it's difficult to describe, but if you really think about it, that's kind of like how things are. It's all selflessness. It's what gives meaning and brings joy to our lives. And examples are babysitting, or caregiving, or helping at the temple with Hosha, or being friendly, just standing in line at Costco. How many of you talk to people while you're standing in line at Costco? I bet not too many. But after listening to Baba Shita talk about that, I thought, yeah, that's a really good idea. You know, looking for people to just have a conversation with. Did you, yeah, how come you bought that piece of thing in your car? Was that really good? So I find that when you start being friendly, that selfless giving, being friendly, a smile, people smile right back at you. And it's a very powerful thing. Volunteering and donating and doing meaningful work that you love. What do I mean by meaningful work? Work that seems to just go by so quickly. You notice how when you do something that you enjoy, whether if it's playing golf or um, playing an instrument or painting or doing practical work, meaningful work makes time goes by so quickly. And it's all about not being in your own selfish mode, but being selfless in giving. So playing a sport or an instrument effortlessly is another good way to be selfless as part of an effort that you find yourself enjoying. So having that awareness and gratitude is important. That attitude of awareness and gratitude makes us who we are today. So in closing, if one really understands this truth, he cannot help but become humble and appreciate others. Let's put our hands together. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. The next part of our service is the recitation of the Golden Chain of Love. The Golden Chain of Love is a summary of the Eightfold Path and the 6 paramitas, or perfections. I am a link in Amida Buddha's Golden Chain of Love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I'll try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in Amida's Golden Chain of Love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Please join me now in singing the Nenbutsu as we close this service. Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you for joining us this morning, and I appreciate your attention and participation. Hope you enjoyed the service.